We talked earlier this week. If any of you guys caught Rob and Big D Wiz's video on the future of car audio, we had talked about it earlier. I know you didn't sit through it, but I did. And I had a couple thoughts on that. I think out of the two, Vega was more in tune than Derek.
Okay.
As somebody that does this for a living, obviously we have a different perspective as opposed to somebody that's on the outside looking in. And as I had said on the show, I feel like this is like the coolest time to be in car audio. I've been doing this since July of 1990.
Okay.
That's when I got my first paycheck as a car stereo professional and have since continued to get one every week there since.
It's funny that you remember the month and the day. Do you remember the day?
No, I don't remember that. I just remember the month. Wow. And when I say I got my paycheck, I actually didn't take a paycheck because I was buying car audio stuff, so I took a bunch of amplifiers instead, so it worked out either way. But that was, that was when I started in car audio, and it's had its ups and downs over the years. I mean, there was a couple depressions, as it were, between now and then. There's always things in every time where things have changed. I mean, we're talking about 30 years here. Some years are better than others. I've been married 25 of those years, and so, or 24. Sorry, it'd be 25 in a couple months. There's a lot of things that come and go and change, and when I started in this industry, coaxials packaged as a set wasn't a thing. You would buy a set of mid-range and a set of tweeters, kind of like you do with the loudspeakers now. I mean, that's essentially what there was.
Right.
And then eventually manufacturers started packaging together. 4-channel amps weren't a thing in the sense that you could go out and buy, I think Yamaha was making a 4-channel amp, but it was there again, it was two stereo amplifiers underneath one heatsink. That was what a lot of them did. And the Japanese amplifier manufacturers started introducing things like 4-channel amps with crossovers and whatnot. Eventually the American amps tried to do the same thing poorly, very poorly. A lot of you guys might remember or have seen like Chips. Kicker had something that went into the side. Rockford used to have a circuit board on the bottom that you'd flip. Orion used to have a thing you'd remove the top and turn, all those little, it was a nightmare. Whereas the Japanese could figure out, hey, just a game pot. They had better engineers, apparently. I don't know what it was. Things have come and things have gone and things have changed, and there's new stuff and old stuff, but it's continued to move forward. With manufacturers making things supposedly better, they're not. They have budgets to constrain by, too. It's not like just because a car manufacturer can, they do.
They wouldn't go crazy.
Because they have a budget, too. They don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on the car system to make it sound good. They try to do it as cheaply as possible. I mean, the Bang & Olufsen system in the Ford. Essentially, you're getting the basic system with an amplifier in it. The speakers aren't any different. It's the same crappy speakers that come with the base model.
Yeah.
So all they're doing is adding an amp and a tune, and that's better. That'll never be. But there's things that will change. I think speakers, amps, and subs will always go forward, and DSP now is a big part of that. Radios, we've seen them start to slow down, which is only natural. But then again, we've also seen, if you look at what the cars we were looking at like 5 and 6 years ago, we're like, we'll never change this radio. And we're changing those radios now.
Changing the radio.
But that's a big part, too, for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay coming out, and those cars not having it. People wanted it.
Yeah.
That was a big boom for our industry. I don't know if in 10 years there'll be another, or 6 years for that matter, there'll be a boom, because I don't think wireless is going to have the same effect that it did, because we had cassette, CD was a boom, aux jack was a boom, Bluetooth was a boom, CarPlay, Android Auto, definitely, navigation was a boom, backup cameras have been good.
Yeah.
There's always been something, and there again, when you asked us back then, did we know what the next popular thing or the next thing that people want would be? And we couldn't answer that because we didn't know.
No.
It just kind of happened. And that's what's always happened. Like, we didn't know the iPod was going to come out and that we were going to have to start putting iPods and everything, or aux jacks and stuff like that. We didn't know Android Auto and Apple CarPlay were going to come out. They did. We don't know what the next big thing is going to be, but there'll always be a next big thing. Will the car manufacturers dictate it? They may.
Yeah.
They may. If you get a car that has all that, more than likely, it still sounds like crap.
Yeah. And we always say, manufacturers trying to work with this product from 3 years ago, 2 years ago. They've been working on products from that time. What's coming, we don't know. Sometimes these products, they didn't even make it to the board. They do the prototypes, they do the stuff, but they don't even make it.
I like Keith. So. I just want an update to the Pioneer UI, for God's sakes. And there again, I totally agree. But here's the funny part. is if you go back and you look at like a Pioneer, it's not like it's varied that much. They've changed a little bit here and there with obviously because they have bigger computers now and more processing speed. But the general, like the background, where everything's at, how it works, is all still the same. And Kenwood's the same way. Alpine, I feel, goes different because I don't know if Alpine is always involved with making their user interface. But out of the three, it's usually the hardest one to figure out. It's just different. Whereas like Kenwood, if you've used a Kenwood 10 years ago, or 15 years ago for that matter, you can hop into a Kenwood right now and go to town on it. It's going to be real similar to it. Pioneer the same way. Alpine, not so much.
Pioneer, the easy one.
I agree that I don't think radios are going to be moving forward. The new floating screens are the answer to that weird dash. You know, that it's like we're not going to be able to put like a Honda Accord, a brand new Honda Accord. It has a floating screen. The radio is mounted this way in the dash. With a Halo style product, I could see in 3 or 4 years there being a solution to where we could take the brain of one of those radios mounted here and a bracket and attach that up where that is.
It's funny that you mentioned it because I just saw today a picture of a Honda Accord, not the new one.
Right.
And they put the radio on the top, like a big screen Android radio on the top, and it's like, it's coming. You know, it's just time to figure it out. What parts do you need and move on.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm almost 50 years old.
You're old.
I don't really have to worry about what's coming 20 years from now. But I can guarantee you for at least 10, 12 years, car audio is not going anywhere. If anything, it's going to get more exciting and better, because if you just go back 4 years ago and you look what we had available to us, and then you come forward 4 years to now, which, you know, like we're going to get to with the stuff sitting on the table. There is definitely, it's a way different landscape than it was 4 years ago. I mean, when you look back to when the Bit 1 came out, it was the only thing there was as far as high-end DSP.
Available,
And now we have DSPs starting at $100, $150, $250 for something good. They're again going all the way up to $1,500, and every stop in between. So I feel like, is the DSP going to be the solution for everything? No, but the DSP is definitely going to help us get to that next level of what's going to happen in a car, because you're not going to buy a car. The cars sound okay. We needed to make them sound great. That's always been our job. Our sounds okay. We want it to sound great.
Better.
There's several different facets of car audio. You know, you have your SPL guys, the guys there that want to build a wall in 415s or 818s or whatever it is. That's never going to go away, and they'll always be buying cars that allow you to do that.
Correct.
You look at like the SQ guys. The SQ guys are always going to be doing their SQ. There's never going to be a car they're going to buy that is going to be good. But those are the two. That's like left and that's right. But what about in the middle? Most of the people in the middle, which is where you guys are at and where we're at, is good enough good enough? No, we know it's not. We know that we can live with a thorn in our side for a little bit, but eventually we just get tired of it. And as soon as we have a little extra money to throw at it,
we're gonna jump on it.
Throw at it. I mean, prime example, the Jeep Grand Cherokee we're working on today. The guy's literally been driving around with 2 mid-range up in his dash, playing for I don't know how long. He got his tax return. Boom, subwoofer, 6 new speakers, amp, radio, gone, just like that. It's all what's priority to you.
Exactly.